3, 2, 1.
Light them up.
I'm Paul.
This is Buck.
This is the Paul and Buck Show.
Hey, the big bucking deal. Hear us. Download the latest app at paulandbuckshow.podbean.com.
We're back, man. This is another show. Today is a pretty cool podcast. We've got South Austin guy here. And introduce yourself, man. Give us your name. Let people know who we're going to talk with today.
Hey guys, it's Brad Lind. Just been around this for a long time. a little bit of street racing, a little bit of real racing, whatever. So
yeah, I heard a lot about you. Of course, I've heard of your name many times before.
Right.
But yeah, so Brad, let's go ahead and just start off. Where are you from originally?
born and raised in Austin, Texas. Both of my parents actually were born and raised in Austin. So south of the River Boy, unfortunately. Or fortunately, let me rephrase that. Fortunately,
Ray's starting to feel overcrowded, man, because I've been bringing a lot of South Austin people in, and even our latest guy surprised us. He said he was from South Austin. One of the current street.
I guess you could say street scene that's going on.
Right.
There's an ATX dig that's running around pretty
Apparently,
hard.
there's an updated version of our old, and they keep it tight. They have their pizza hangout just like we did. I was just like, wow, it's almost identical. But
Yeah, it's funny.
they're a lot faster.
So
nowadays they're a whole lot faster.
Wow, a lot faster.
Technology's come a long way.
Yeah.
a long way. So South Austin,
Yeah.
South Texas, South Austin. Sorry. Where'd you go to high school?
So I ended up at Hayes High School, but I grew up off East Old Torf. And then we moved out there. Golly, I'm trying to think. Probably when I was 13, 14 years old or something. So,
Awesome.
and then I went to college at UTSA, and that's kind of, my roommate had a 4-cylinder turbo Mustang that John Dinkle put a different motor and stuff in.
Yeah.
So,
Is that right?
Yep, and we used to tear up San Antonio for a while,
Nice.
and that's what kind of
Was it that black one or?
It was yellow.
Oh, okay, I remember a black one running around, but it was V8 powered.
Yeah.
So is that what sparked the semi? I guess.
Yeah, for the most part. My uncle, I grew up at Little River and San Antonio and all over. My uncle drag raced all over everywhere, so he ran a lot of bracket stuff.
So about what years was that during about what time?
For the Mustang stuff,
Well, for you, just during that specific time frame.
probably early 90s.
Early 90s,
so
okay.
91-ish probably.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. That's when stuff started.
Yeah, that's when I got out of high school, 92. So you meet my buddies, Eric. He's looking for a Mustang. You probably have a Mustang already back then. So he says, I meet some guys. And I said, oh, the Mustang guys. And so you guys become buddies. And that's how I get to meet you. And then I find out that we work at the same place, but you work in another building. It's AMD. So a bunch of cool stuff's happening at that building too. So I don't know, man. We would just race every Friday, Saturday night. Make sure we didn't get squirrels to screw it up, and
occasionally there was some of those out there though too.
yeah. So that's how that took off. So tell us, man. So what was the cool car that you finally started racing?
Oh man. My favorite car by far is the Saline. Everybody knows me
Yeah.
from the white Saline.
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
Had that for 11 years and started off, just pretty basic, and then it came heads and cam, and then we put a supercharger on it.
What cam did you put in there?
I think it had an F cam.
Oh, here we
It had
go.
an F with TFS heads, and we had the original Vortec B trim.
You're one of the first guys to actually run something besides a GT40 or a dart head. Because everybody, that's all we all had.
Oh yeah, trick flows. I was the first one, I think, in this area with trick flows.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody's running like the GT.
Everybody had GT40s or really nasty ported Windsor dart heads.
E7s or darts or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. But yeah, we took it up to Leonard's and drove it up there, dynoed it, made like 550, and Leonard's like, "Who are you?"
Yeah. I remember that he had a photo. He actually put your
yeah.
car photo on there. Yeah.
And I was like, "Dude, I'm just the Mustang guy, he's like, "We're gonna run this again. Something's wrong." He ran it again and made like 540 or something.
Yeah.
He's like, "All right." So fast forward that 10 years after that, he's like, "Hey man, you're gonna come up here and run the dyno with me." So I ran the dyno at Leonard's for probably 2, 3, 4 years.
Really? So okay. So no wonder I was seeing a bunch of. The wall was just growing with Mustang cars. Every time I'd go in there, I'm like, man, these guys are putting some numbers down. I'm like, wow. I still remember Kevin. They called him Steeda Boy.
Yeah. Yep.
I saw
we
his.
went to high school together.
Y'all went? Oh yeah, Bowie, right? For a little
No,
bit.
we went
or
to Hayes.
did he go?
Hayes.
Well, he went to Bowie. I
went
thought
to Hayes,
Hayes.
yep.
Okay. 'Cause I remember his Mustang.
Oh, yeah.
And so yeah, I go up there and I don't know, I'm buying something for the car and I'm looking at these pictures, man. These are the street guys I only see at nighttime. I'm like, what are they doing here? What wow, 520. Like
Yeah.
he had some numbers, and I'm
Back
like,
then, that's, I mean,
Yeah.
I know it sounds crazy now.
Yeah.
We've got stock cars doing that, but
Right.
back then, that's just unheard of.
yeah. Considering that the blocks were known to.
And this,
Oh, yeah.
this is still in the 90s. Right?
This is early
Oh,
90s.
yeah. This is probably,
early.
yeah, mid 90s, late 90s,
Yeah.
somewhere
Yeah.
that time.
You can
frame,
still
maybe.
buy a Mustang.
Yeah.
And that Fox body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a pretty penny.
My first Mustang was an 82 that had a 351 in it.
Yeah.
That Don Watson, I don't know if you guys, I mean, this is going way back. Don Watson
Mm-hmm.
and Ramsey and those guys built this car. So a lot of Hayes County people. But,
Okay.
But they're big drag race
Yeah.
guys. Don has like I think a white Chevy 2 with like a blower or something on it now.
Do you know that one?
Man,
But
there was a few, but there wasn't too many Chevy 2s.
No.
But there was like one that stands out white, you said?
it's white, and I think it's got like it's not a Whipple, but like the B&M, the underhood one or whatever.
Oh, like a 177 or something like that?
The small one.
Yeah, the small,
Yeah.
144 or something like that.
Yeah.
But
I think
yeah,
I do
so
recall some of those. But
I had that 82, and I'll tell you, this is kind of funny. My
Yeah.
first street race. So they talked me into going out to 812 to go street races.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was kind of like, all right, well, let's cruise out there. Well, we go all the way out to 812, and I was kind of like trying to understand the lay of the land.
Right.
Never really made a street pass. So we get out there, and I already had nitrous on the car back
Yeah.
then. The 351 in a Mustang was kind
That's
of. There was
that
only
was-
two of us
that
in
was
town
fast,
that had
yeah.
that, and it was pretty quick.
Yeah.
So it had a C4 in it, and they're like, "Hey, you need to race this Corvette Tony," and I'm like, "Corvette? Like this guy has a name?"
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, Corvette Tony. So I get out there, and my buddy's like, "Hey, he hooks pretty good, so you're gonna have to be on your game."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Why are you hooking me up with this first street
First
race,
time
man?
back.
Come on!" So, dude, I kid you not, he took off, and I don't think he even chirped the tires. He was out on me so
Wow.
many links. And I looked like John Force trying to catch him.
Wow.
And that was my first, I guess, breaking the
And-
ice.
And this is quarter mile. This is quarter mile. So
Oh,
you're
yeah.
you're driving for a good while, you know.
Oh yeah, man. And I just never could. And
Well, it's wild that a Corvette that was hooking that good too. That was,
Yeah, Corvettes usually did pretty good. I don't know why. It's the independent suspension or something,
guess
but
so.
I guess. I don't
But
know.
he had that car that won a lot of street races back in the day.
Yeah.
Some of the old guys will remember Corvette.
Was it like a C3, like a 70?
It was probably C3 or C4, somewhere in that time frame. The older Stingray body style
Okay.
or something.
Yeah.
But
what color was it?
it's kind of gray.
Oh, did he have long hair?
Yep.
I remember that. Okay, I knew where you lived, and I would remember him cruising around. Yeah, he would always show up at the races and run, and then you never knew if he ran or not. I mean, but so he was pretty quick then. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
that car on the street was real fast because
Wow.
it just hooked.
So that was your very first street race, and then
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
then it was
yeah, that was a
crazy
bad.
after that because
that
then
was
I learned
bad.
my lesson. I was like,
Yeah.
oh crap, I gotta get my stuff together. So then we had the 82 for a while. Then we bought an 85, and a buddy of mine bought my Saline, my 89 Saline. He bought that brand new from a Ford dealership here in town. And I saw him one day, and I was like, Mike, sell me that Saline. And he's like, no. And I just kept bugging him. And finally, I ended up with the Saline. And then, you know, as you guys know, it just went crazy from there. So,
Yeah, you started because I remember, and I guess we'll go back here a little bit. But yeah, I remember hanging out at this one house, and for a while there, you were, I don't know, every time I went over there, just maybe coincidence, but I was always seeing you under that car changing something on that T5. Like, so, there was always you were changing the clutch, or
oh, man.
the T5 was out, you were replacing something was always being replaced under that car because you were putting it to the street.
It made a lot of horsepower for a T5.
Yeah.
And, back in I think we went through 8 T5s, and I have a crazy story. I had one rebuilt. I drove it home. I was driving it to work, and I was like, it feels pretty good. So I kind of got into it, broke it the next day. So yeah, it just it chewed up T5s pretty regularly.
Yeah, most of the time it was within a couple of hours of hitting it on Saturday night, and you're under the car. Oh, I'll be ready in a minute, and boom, we're all gone, and it's like, damn man, these guys know how to change these T5s and
Do it in your sleep, huh?
drive to San Antonio and come back like nothing,
yeah.
and we're over here like we can't even drive to the other side of town with our dumb cars, but
Yeah, we would race Friday and Saturdays usually in Austin, and then Sunday night was a good night to go street racing in San Antonio. So we'd go down off Southwest Military.
But how many of you guys would go down there? I remember it was always Sunday night, and it was a herd of Stangs.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it was just 3 of us. Sometimes it'd be 10 of us.
So it was like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday deal.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. It was pretty regular. I mean, it got really bad there for a while when we were racing all over the place.
Y'all knew Murillo on a normal basis, on a weekend basis, didn't y'all?
I did, yep. And then he kind of got a little bigger.
Yeah.
But we definitely hooked up with him a few times here and there, mainly at the track.
Right.
Right.
But, yeah.
I saw some VHS video not too long ago, and it was the old racers, and as the camera's going by, I see your car, and then I seen Gabe's car was there, and I'm like, oh damn, that was one of those events, man, where I think the lead was there, I was there, and you guys were parked next to it, and I only got to see that one little part, man. I didn't get to see none of the races go by. I'm like, damn, I really missed that. Should have wish the whole video was there.
Man, I wish I could go back to some of that. It was a lot of fun back then. I don't think the consequences were here as bad as today. So
The only thing I didn't like about that track was you'd make your passing on the comeback. So many potholes. It looked like your car went through a ranch field.
we were in San Antonio.
Yeah.
San Antonio.
It was crazy.
Alamo.
Alamo,
Yeah.
that was rough. Yeah.
Yeah.
You had to make sure to avoid the water potholes and everything else.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. Yeah, but I mean, that was if it wasn't Little River, it was make the drive out there.
Yeah.
That was it. That was the only spots besides our spots that we had throughout South Austin. Those we never knew where we were gonna be at. It was just
we had to mix it up.
Yeah. I do remember one time where you guys finally the Chevy guys had a real car to race, and you guys said, let's do it, man, let's run. And I think it was you, Steeda, y'all racing Doughboy, David, either he had the Nova or he had the Camaro.
You talking about Madness or whatever? Or
Porter. No, yeah.
And we used to call him Madness because he wore a Chevrolet hat that said Madness on it. You're like, what's up, Madness?
So y'all call him Madness. I've heard I don't know. Greg had another name. I can't even remember right now. But Porter Potty.
Yeah.
Poor David, man.
Greg's got a name for everybody.
Yeah.
Greg had a name for him.
So I remember
Pretty
y'all.
much all the fairies.
Yeah. Everybody's fairy. I remember y'all raced that. Yeah. I waited at the shop. I'm like, I'm not gonna go, man. So you guys went out there, and all I remember is a few T5s went down that night. And that's but that was fun, man. That's how racing was back then, and it's just, it just kept growing and growing. So, what was So now we're gonna go back. When did you meet the BPA Automotive, Rudy?
Yeah,
Everybody knows him as Bug
So,
too.
I was in college. My roommate lived in the same subdivision
Mm-hmm.
with a little turbo Mustang. And he's like, hey, I need you to meet this guy. He's another Mustang guy. And I was like, I don't know any other Mustang guys over here. And we go in, and he's like, this is Rudy. And I was like, hey, what's up, Rudy? And I started looking, and I'm like, all right, this dude's got his stuff together,
Yeah.
Like, I see what he's doing and stuff. And he had the maroon car.
Yeah.
When he first started really pulled the heads off for the first time,
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah, I know what he's, what's going on. So, man, that's when we became friends. I went back to college for a while, and when I moved back to Austin, everybody's like, yeah, you need to meet Buck. And I'm like, who the heck's Buck?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how that
Because you and him had like the most popular of Mustangs as far as building them and working on them. If you guys came out, it's going to be a real race. They're willing to race
sometimes
a faster car.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys, man, it never failed. You guys always had at least, I don't know, 5-10 cars parked over there on a Wednesday.
Oh yeah, there's no telling. Yeah, we always had stuff. Kind kind of went together as a pack, man. And some of those guys are still some of my closest
Yeah.
friends. You know, I mean, like Kevin and I went to high school, and then still friends. I don't know if you guys remember, like Liv and
Yeah.
trying to think, you know, with Damon and then Mikey.
Mikey.
And then I was good friends with his brother, with Bobby.
Tell us about Bobby. I know Bobby ran around with you guys a lot. So tell us a little bit about how you met him. I met him in high school because I went to Bowie. He had a Volkswagen actually, and
funnier.
and so yeah, so I get my car out and he sees it and he's like, "Hey, you want to run?" And I'm like, "What do you have?" "I just raced my Volkswagen." I'm like, "Nah, I don't want to be that. My first race a Volkswagen." So I didn't race him, but then he came back with a real nice Mustang, and that's how I got to him. And after that, I mean, he was just nuts. I mean,
yeah.
he was like, I don't know, 5-10 races a night. You know.
Yeah, that car on the street was pretty crazy, man. I actually never even raced against Bobby. Everybody
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, y'all need to hook up. Y'all need to race," and it never got to that point. But we would always kind of talk crap to one another and everything, like who's faster,
We never
and
raced, though.
who can shift faster. And, I mean, that's
Yeah.
just how Bobby was. And I remember when I first got the saline, we were putting long tubes on it, and we went to Corey Wacker's house, and Bobby sat there in the chair right in front of me, and he's like, "Are you done yet?" And I'm like, "Dude, it's 2 a.m. Hush, just leave me alone. I'm trying to get this done." Putting long tubes on back then was just, I mean, it was a whole nother deal, especially in a driveway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I had just lots of interaction with Bobby, just, you know, more, not really racing, but just hanging out, man. Just, I don't know, it was a lot of fun. Good dude.
His brother stayed EFI, and then Bobby chunked the EFI.
Oh, yeah.
What happened there? What caused him to change?
Faster.
Just-
He felt like I mean, there's more tunability back then. I mean, we didn't have the computers that
Yeah.
we do now, and
Yeah.
you could throw a carburetor on there and add more fuel or lean it out a little bit back then. So
Yeah, he came back and man, he had race seats, no carpet. He had the big 7AL. I mean, he was going for it, right? And I think he even put what was it, the X303, the big cam.
probably,
Yeah.
I'm not sure on the motor stuff. He was pretty
Yeah.
secretive about a lot.
He
of this
he
stuff,
got
but-
got the head sported by my buddy's dad, and he hogged the crap out of those heads, and so that's why I knew a little bit about what he did on his motor. And when he showed up, it was sounding a little meaner, just a little bit louder, and you know, and from there on, I mean, he was just run. He didn't care if you didn't know how to race. He would make you race. Like there was some new guys that would show up and, well, we don't know how to run. You know, one wheel wonder. Dude, just set up right there, man, and just go. You come back and then we'll run again. And he, like 3-4 times, and just until they got good. And he's like, "All right, you coming back tomorrow?" And then the kid would be like, "Oh yeah, I'm coming back." You get everybody all riled up.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was fun. So who else did you? Well, you rolled around with Kevin.
Yep. And then Richard Taylor, he had another. He had a maroon GT, and I don't remember what happened. It got wrecked or something. Then he ended up with a black GT, and then Liv, and then Chuck, quarter horse.
Quarter horse.
Yep.
Who's the one when we were hanging out on 6th Street? Shows up and he wipes out and takes out a meter right there and
On the street, 6th Street.
on 6th Street in our parking lot where we hung out. I mean, he literally wiped out as a GT. I mean, took out the pole, the whole damn thing.
I remember hearing about something, but I don't remember who that
Really?
was.
Well, he came back, painted. The car was really nice, and we were, I don't know, somewhere out in Del Valley, and he had just brought his car back out, and Trini, which I'm going to bring on, I had Trini with me, and Corey, and so Trini and them, they went up the other way, and they were coming back, and this dude was coming in. But it was so dark, man, and me and Eric are standing there waiting for the races to get ready. Bobby's pulling over. And so here comes Corey. He's got a 67 Cougar, which Michelle Cotto now owns. They have it. And he's coming down, and I see him, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, man, you just park right there." And that Mustang was a little bit too out on the street. And Corey didn't see, so Corey takes off, and he hits it right in front of us. We're like, "Oh, man, this can't be good." So they got out, man, and you hit my car. No, your car was in the middle of the street, and it went off, man. But the guy had just brought his car back, and I mean, it's like, wow, man, just ruined the whole thing. And while we're talking there, man, like 15 cops roll in, and we're still having a conversation about the accident. and the cops like literally just drives up right next to us, and we're like, "Hey man, we gotta go." And literally, we walked to our car and drove off, and the cops never even said nothing to us because I guess they assumed it wasn't even a race at this point. It was more about a wreck. Yeah, and we're doing a I don't know fire hangout right somewhere in the middle of the country.
Yeah, we used to do a lot of that. Go down to South Mopac.
Yeah.
Yeah, did a lot of street racing.
What did they call that? NASCAR downs or what they call that? Because it was a circle. You had to keep doing curves. Yeah. Yeah, I remember Kevin with the red Mustang. It was just run without nitrous, run with nitrous. Try from a roll. I mean, it was just nuts.
I remember racing down 6th Street. I don't know if you remember.
Stoplight. Yeah.
That, and then over at when it was at Palmer, racing right there across Barton Springs or whatever almost.
Really? Oh man, I didn't do that.
They raced right there at 1st Street, coming across the bridge almost.
Oh crap!
Yep.
Damn. There was one on Mopac, on the side of Mopac by IBM.
Yep.
I remember I did just one race there, and it was kind of weird. I lost the spot when I came back around. I'm like, where the hell is it? I couldn't figure out where the hell it was at, man. I'm like, okay, guess I'm gonna go back. But yeah, we had that one.
The one on Mopac, I remember racing out north, racing the Cyclone.
Oh, Al.
With Al, yeah. So
Al
Al
with
brought in
the Mr. Hyde and Jekyll. He had 2 Cyclones, man.
He brought the bad boy out there
Yeah.
with me, and then so me and him were supposed to race, and he's like, "Hey, I have this other buddy in from out of town, and he's in a Typhoon."
Oh,
So I knew Al was fast, so I knew I was like, "All right, so I got to be good." It's probably one of the best street races I've ever had. And he was out on me a little bit, but I passed him and everything. And he still, I mean, he'll probably tell you this day that he's like, man, that was just so good. That was, he was always just very complimentary.
what color was the Typhoon?
It was white. It was white.
Okay, so that was Russell from San Marcos. He, I don't know what the affiliation was with the airport, but he had something to do with owning it or something like that.
Oh,
So that
really?
dude would bring, like he brought a twin turbo 300Z one time, and then he had a Bill Mitchell, like an 82 Camaro or something like that he brought out before.
I didn't even know. I was like, hey, you need to race this guy. It's pretty fast. And I'm like, yeah, you know me. And I'm like, how does it compare to your truck? He's like, Al's just like, well, here we go. We take off, and dude, that Typhoon was gone. I mean, the Typhoon was gone. I was like, oh crap, that thing's as fast as Al's, and I'm doing everything I can. I finally catch him, but man, it was like, dude, those are the back on Breaker, and I was actually there this week. And I drove past it, and I was like, yeah, one of the best days I had.
Yeah.
There was we had the Burleson race. We would run out off of Burleson, and Russell took the Typhoon. Him and Corey were, smacking back and forth that I'm gonna beat that Chevelle, and you ain't gonna beat me. Corey, same guy, got his head sported. He put a bigger cam. He put slicks on it. I mean, the big ones, the 29.5s. The car was sitting high. Went out there and he knew that he had heard word. I mean, that thing was already just, killing everything off the line, right? And so Corey, he's more experienced. He's got Manny. He knows Manny. Autumn. He's got those guys, right? So the only thing that Russell was able to do is just put half a fender on the takeoff, and boom, Corey was gone. He's like, man, I'm glad I didn't blow my transmission. I'm glad I didn't chunk a rod. But he was able to, all he did that day was just put a fender on him, and Russell was like, man, you really, man, you got me, But that was a Chevy versus, or I guess on the Chevy side of racing. But to race a 5.0 Mustang, and if that Mustang was hanging with the big block, it's like, wow. He's got some serious stuff underneath it. At what point did you change the nitrous? Did you go to the blower?
I was nitrous for probably close to a year, and then we put the B trim on there, and that thing just it kind of got crazy. But I don't even remember the year. Probably late '90s or something.
Did you change Did you go to the cog belt? Because I know everybody was wanting to change to that.
I never went to a cog on that. I mean, we ran that car on the street like that way forever, and then it kind of got even crazier. So then Fun Ford Weekend put together this street renegade class that my cousin Chip Haveman was running, and he's like, you need to come race with us. And I guess it had been about a year with him racing street renegades. So then Vortec approached him and was like, hey, come race for Vortec. And he was with ProCharger at the time, and he's like, I don't want to go there. So then he's like, I know somebody that you need to contact. So next thing you know, I'm talking to Ricky Best, and he's like, hey, we're gonna try to help you and your cousins with Chip.
Yeah.
So let's make this happen. So I got sponsorship with Vortec, but it was still all serpentine stuff back then.
Damn.
But we ran serpentine stuff and could run, I mean, low tens
Yeah.
back then. And I mean, it was really
Yeah.
just a street car. So
It was a Renegade class.
street renegade. Yeah.
And that's when you also put an automatic in it?
I did.
Was it Chevy or LD still, or C4 or what?
C4.
Okay.
Yeah, we put C4s back then, and that's kind of when, Murillo really started helping me. I mean, Murillo helped me all the way up until I guess 06 when I stopped racing in Clash. I mean, I was always, hey man, what do I do here? What he was just golly, he just he
had
had
a lot of
so
knowledge.
much knowledge
Yeah.
on Mustang stuff. And
course,
still
yeah.
does. So.
Well, wasn't he with Vortec too? Was he part of Vortec, or he was?
They were all. He had a silver car that had some Vortex sponsorship, and that was another outlaw car. But I don't know if y'all guys know Kenjo Kelly. Kenjo.
Oh, Kenjo.
Yeah, he drove the silver car. We went to Bradenton one year to race, and Kenjo drove the silver car for him. So
Cool.
Damn. I mean, I knew you were like one of the first to run a race style Vortex blower,
Yeah, we upgraded from that B kind of before I guess everything else went to the S trim, and S trim was very limited at that time, and now it's like everywhere. But back then, yep. And then it was pretty fast with the S.
Yeah, I remember seeing it. I mean, because we all had to drive back to South Austin. But you could tell whenever people had changes, you'd be on the highway. And that's when you would know if you were limited now on the street based on your gearing or whatever the hell changes you did. And so I heard it, and you were whining a lot more. Coming back, I'm like, he's done something to that car. I don't know what it is. But he was running. So moving forward, at what point did you actually? Because you went real serious into drag racing after that. What car came after that sailing?
Well, I had the sailing for like 11 years and had the opportunity to buy Charlie Murphy's car out of San Antonio, a turbo car. Friends, again, Murillo tuned that car, and I don't know, Angel Padilla was kind of the driving force behind all that. So ended up buying Charlie's car, and we did some changes, and that thing was crazy from day one.
I remember seeing it in Mustang magazine. I'm like, damn, this car, the numbers it was running. What was the fastest that car had done before you got it?
I think 830s or 40s or something like that.
And that was nuts for the early 2000s. Yeah. And I remember seeing them like, wow, these guys are, and it was only a 306 or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was a 349.
Okay.
By the time everything was done.
Yeah.
I think it was a 347 when Charlie had it or whatever, but it was pretty basic. It was I'm trying to remember if it was an A4 block or an R block back then. I don't even remember.
We didn't have no Facebook or nothing back then, but we had CenTex hot rods. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
And you posted some photos, and I'm seeing them. I'm like, I've seen that car somewhere, and I scroll back to see who the heck is posting, and it's you, and I'm like, bullshit. Nah, he didn't get the car because there was no more stickers on it or nothing. It was just really nice. But when I seen like the engine and I'm looking at the magazine, I'm like, God damn, he got the car! Holy crap! And you just made the car go even faster.
We did. Well, I had really good people around.
Yeah.
Again, Murillo was a lot more involved, and again, Chip being a huge. Chip and I still talk probably every week.
Yeah.
But those two guys were just instrumental in making it what it was, and the True 10-5 scene is where I really kind of everybody was like, wait, this turbo guy's showing up. And they're like, who's this freaking
and
jerk? And then they realize it's me, and they're like, oh my gosh, they already from the saline to it was like, wait a second.
And you had full interior, the doors opened,
everything, electric windows,
radio. Did the radio also work on that thing? It's pretty much you had everything on it.
Sure, it might have. I don't remember when I first got it. It eventually went away when we started running out of room for stuff. So.
Yeah. Because I remember it had the ice cooler, the ice box. It was in the passenger seat, but the doors were, I'm like, damn, man, this car's just, I want it,
That's how I was when I saw it. I was like, ooh, I gotta have this. So.
Damn. So what were the changes you made to that car when you got it?
So, the first time we went out, we basically just blew the tires off because we didn't know what it was capable of. So,
right.
We went in and changed a lot of the programming stuff. Then we changed kind of the little bit of the engine configuration. Back then, I was working with Pete Coetzer, who was building Murillo's motors, who was building Chip's motors. So we just got more horsepower out of it that way. Boost controllers, there was really no boost controllers back then for a while. Everything was done by, a turn knob. So we added a little bit more boost, and the next thing you know, I mean, we're running the 7s at 180 miles an hour.
This is what year? Early 3,
I'm
4.
trying to think. Probably 2002, 2003, somewhere in there.
Yeah, that was just. I mean, to put that car at Little River, I don't know how you did it. It was still quarter mile back then.
Stupid back then. That's what I was.
Being the railroad tracks back there somewhere.
Oh, yeah, man, it was pretty sketchy. That's for sure. Looking back, I'm like, man, what was I thinking? And
he was putting it. I remember.
And that was quarter mile back then, by the way.
Yeah, most of the time we would run 8th though, because we were getting pretty fast back then. So that's when I was running Smallwood and Ralph and all the other the North Austin boys who hated me.
I remember
every time I showed up there, I felt like somebody was going to try to fight me.
I texted you one time because there was a lot of complaining going on, and I said, "Hey man, are you going to go to that event?" He goes, "I said, what are you going to do?" And you said, "Well, I don't know. I guess I think I'm just gonna depower it or something, so I can run with the class, because if not, it's fast."
It was pretty much run what you brung, but every time I went out there and you'd make a hit, then everybody's like, "Oh man, we can't have these turbos out here," and I was like, "There's no rules. There's no rules. Run the tire." I mean, I'm just smart. I mean, I just made the. I'm not gonna say I'm smarter than them, but I made the smart decision of just putting as much power as you can, and then that was not a good choice.
I can't believe that track actually kept you straight, man. I'm
back then, I know, because nowadays the track prep and the tire.
It was only 60 foot. It was only like 60 foot, pretty much, almost. The rest is like.
But when you say if you go down and look at the way they prep the track now, it's a little different ball game the way that you do the prep. Because back then, I remember when. Because you remember Kyle Huddle?
Oh, yeah.
So
I'm still friends with Kyle.
Yeah, so when they would go down there and maybe you as well, like, they would kind of have to do some driving, but they would get down, at 30s, 20s, it was like pretty damn five.
Were they prepping it all the way, or what were they doing back then?
Well, they were prepping it, but it wasn't. If you go look at what they have now to what it is.
They walk sprayed it.
Almost. Yeah.
That's what it was.
Pretty much it was, right?
They don't have they have like a track now. They spray down. It's a whole lot different. The way you they walk sprayed it to about maybe 100, 150 foot, maybe if that. Then everything else is like, okay, you're on your own.
Damn.
But, that technology's come a long ways. And again, with the radial stuff too, has come a long ways on the technology on that side.
Did you ever run the radials?
On the new car I built, I did.
But you never ran them back then?
I didn't run them back then. So back then, I raced against, I don't know if you got David Wolf out of Dallas. We would go to Kennedale and race, and he would run on radials. And, I mean, back then, if you ran 480s or 490s, I mean, that's just unheard of in a 10.5 car.
Yeah.
But he had Big Daddy Dwayne Guthridge's car. I mean, it's the fastest.
Damn, that was
car
a
in the
nasty
world.
car, yeah.
Yeah, so, and I was friends with Big Daddy because I was traveling with Chip and him and everything else. So
with the red car?
Back then, I traveled some with the red car. I didn't have the budget they did, so I would go some of the closer races. We'd go to maybe, trying to think where we went. We went to Houston and Dallas and so forth.
Right.
But,
so let's track back. How did you meet those guys? Because those guys were on the cover pages. These guys were setting records and BF Goodrich pull out. I mean, you wanted the poster because their car was just it's awesome shit.
Being at the races all the time with those guys, and then we'd go race at Kennedale. And Wolf was from Dallas, so his car was up there. Yeah, so we would go up there and race those guys, and I'll never forget we had the finals. So there's another guy here in town, Matt Jones, who's like still one of my best friends. I don't know. He did a lot of street racing, and then he got into Super Gas, and then he did Street Bandit. Yeah. So
Matt Jones.
He had a fun Ford weekend.
Okay.
It was the white Mustang. But anyway, so me and him, we left on a Friday to go to Kennedale. We're like, hey, either one of us gets to the finals, we're going to go race Saturday in Houston, and we'll just make a big triangle. So I made it to the finals against Wolf. Of course, I got annihilated. And I mean, because my fastest that car went was maybe 490s when it was finally done and everything. But it was pretty consistent 5.0, 5 teens, which is still crazy fast.
Fast.
So I raced Wolf in the final or what, and then we go to Houston, you go down there, and then you run into Justin Curry, and then you run into
Wow.
Lamar and all those guys. So I mean, but it was awesome, man. That was probably one of the coolest weekends. We just made this huge triangle.
Go right around week.
Yeah,
week,
because
race weekend, race weekend.
Yeah, I was trying to keep up, but I couldn't. You know, back then, man, you can't find all damn photos on the internet. But I remember you would always post, man, we did this and we did that, and I'm like, man, I wish I could see the photos or something, because you know you had to wait for the magazine to come out, man, to see this stuff. It's
Oh yeah.
Nowadays, you just
It's everywhere.
you know,
Yeah.
race book, you know.
Well, the thing too, like the Clash was like a thing. That was a pretty big thing there. A little circuit there for a while. It was happening. Fast cars and big payouts. It was like a. You always look forward to that weekend. You know, the Clash of the Titans. That was
Clash of the
We
Titans.
ran Clash, and we ran a lot of the 10-5 stuff. So we ran the whole series with Clash. We ran the Super Street class with the red car.
right.
So we won a championship. We were runner-up in 05 and won the championship at Super Street in 06.
Damn.
But
Yeah, I kind of always remember the little fine details. I don't know how I do it, but there was a problem where you ran somewhere. Well, you ran the whole, like an event, right? And then you actually post some photos because you were going through your car again, and somehow your mains, they were loosening up or something was going on.
Yeah.
Do you remember
So,
that?
Yeah, so we had a lot of issues. Back then, the converter would push, and it would push like your thrust bearing.
Yeah.
So it'd chew up a thrust bearing. So yeah, there'd be times where we're running to Pete Coates are like, "Hey, dude, I need this now." So
Damn.
and
But you never dropped anything.
never blew up a motor or
just
anything.
they just loosened up.
Let me tell you
You had to
though.
run like a stud girdle, like a girdle. Like, or
Oh
something.
yeah, I had a lot of that stuff, but it was still. I mean, you're just putting so. I mean, I think that car made right at 1,800 horsepower back then. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, them turbo cars, you know, they spin so the converter gets, you know, starts shoving up and you get. It's the same thing on LS. It was a bad thing on LS motors. Now they push the thrust out. So.
Yeah, we were very fortunate, like I said, with those guys having the contact. So Marty Chance. So Marty Chance built me a converter, and funny story. I'll tell you a little bit. So Marty Chance helped me and did a bunch of stuff, and then we were had Pete doing stuff. So yeah, that whole thing, we would go and something would go wrong or something, and call Marty, and Marty's like, "Hey, try this or do this."
Yeah.
So we were pulling converters apart. I'll never forget. We went all the way to I think it was either Tulsa or Noble, Oklahoma, to go race for Clash, and I get there, and my buddies. So it's Brad Newcomb and Matt Jones.
Yeah.
And we pull a car out, and he's like, "Why is the transmission on the floor?" I said, "We got to put that in." We drove all the way up there just to put the transmission in because I had it out because Marty Chance and Heath worked for Chance Converters at the time. And Heath's like, "Hey, we're gonna put some new diodes in there." So
We are dealing with bolt together.
Bolt together, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we made some killer adjustments, and I think there's still a video on Facebook where we were trying to set the record in our class back then. It was fast until I think in 06 when it got a little crazy when Chad Riviere and Lamar and all them came into that class. They realized, you know, hey man, I think we could compete in this. So, but yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, your car was out there, especially for an Austin car.
Yep.
I was always trying to see, like, man, who's got the fastest? I mean, who actually made it, you know, past the regulars, you know, and then some. And I knew it was you, because that turbo thing that was just coming out of nowhere. So it's like, I think this is where everything's headed, man. I mean, and sure enough, look at it today. It's like LS turbo, and you know, nobody's really even doing. What's your opinion, man, on? I mean, I'm a Ford guy, even though I always had Chevy stuff. My dad was Ford, so I've always liked Ford. It kind of makes me uncomfortable to see an LS motor in a Fox body, you know, or in a Mustang. What?
I have mixed emotions because I really love the Mustang stuff.
Yeah.
But man, I just like to go fast. So we have an 88 LX that my son has right now, and he's like pushing LS, and I'm like, hey, I found you this, and he's like LS. So that part's really, it's an emotion that's there, but I get I get what he wants to do. He wants to go fast, and it's budget minded. You know, to make the horsepower out of a small block Ford is tough nowadays.
Yeah.
But
LS, you can just.
Yeah, I was looking at a Cleveland that popped up recently.
Don't do that.
I know. And I was like, oh, it's like, oh, it's the 4 barrel, so it probably has the good heads on it, right?
Yeah,
and I immediately, it's going to crack or some crap, right?
It's just way too expensive. Anything
Oh,
that goes wrong, it's
definitely.
about 40 times more expensive than anything small block. So don't ever do that.
Just because it's hard part. I mean,
You can't find parts.
Yeah. But, I mean, I just got so tempted to, oh, that would really look, because we have a 65 Falcon, and we have LS stuff to put in it, but it's like, man, why don't we do that? Let's put a Ford motor. And then we're like, man.
I'm trying to convince him, small block Ford, Coyote, something of that sort I'm cool with. If he ends up with the LS, it's not the end of the world either.
No, it's not. They're nice. I mean, you bang for the buck, you break it, go to the junkyard, get another one. You don't even have to do much to it. You're back in the game. But
yeah, we built another turbo car just like my old race car, basically a street car.
The red one, what happened?
It looks almost the same.
Why'd you get rid of it? I thought you were going to come back out and whoop ass.
I know, and we had every intention of doing that, but
I mean, you had the cooler, the shit was running through through the side of your car. I mean,
oh yeah, everything
he's going
street
for
car, no bars.
Yeah.
Had to have a parachute because we knew it was going to be pretty fast, but we kind of went back on some of my old stuff. Caleb, who built all the turbo stuff for Mike and Chip back in the day. I don't know if y'all know CG Fabrication. He was instrumental in building my second turbo car. He was awesome. Yeah. So we built this car with a single 85 on it. Thought we were going to go race some of the Texas 275 stuff. Oh, right. Well, then they changed the rules. You can only run an 80.
Yeah.
So that kind of put a kink in. I wasn't going to, I mean, those turbos are $5,000 a piece. It's a new car and you change the rules in the middle of it. So I was like, all right, so we'll just make some power and see what happens and maybe go race some of the local stuff. And we got everything built and kind of leaned on Shortridge a lot because I didn't know Holly and he knew Holly. Right. So Shortridge, and then we took it up to Casey Rance's dyno and made, just unbelievable numbers on a hydraulic roller motor. I think we made 1,100 horsepower and 1,100 foot-pounds of torque with only 18 pounds of boost and 18 degrees of timing in it. So we knew there was quite a bit more in it. Yeah. And then, I don't know, I kind of fell back into that same groove where racing became a job for me. It's tough. It'll hit. And so we drove it, took it to some car shows, we drove it around, and plus living out it's different when you live an hour away from the city now. Right. It's not so easy just to drive to town.
Everybody has to move out nowadays because it's just not comfortable within the city limits I mean, you really can't do nothing anymore. I mean, it's just wild.
Just now, and we talked about it before, like it's just getting overcrowded to me. I mean, just flooding in the city limits. But
lots and lots of people
outside of the city limits, like where you're at. I mean, that's perfect. Like I said, but like I said, you just cruising to store. Like
that's pretty much what we did.
Get a pop.
Yeah, that's exactly. A car that kind of reminded me of your stuff. We had Tommy Mars here, and he's got that blue GT that he was running on the street, turbo. He got real
Tommy Mars.
When I see his car, I'm like, man, that kind of looks like Brad's
back
stuff.
Yeah, I think my son saw Tommy's car at the races a few times, and that's why he's like, oh, I can do this LS stuff. And I was like, yeah, that's a little different though,
Yeah.
But
now you bought that car originally as a Pro Charge car or something like that, or
Vortec
car?
Vortec on it. So going back to my original.
But you noticed all the bottoms to build something. Is that what you saw?
Yeah. So, well, it's kind of a weird thing. It had the Vortec on there, and we went to the track, and I was kind of like, I don't know what it went. It went a 9 something, I think, maybe or something. And I was like, oh, this is boring. So instantly, I'm telling my son, I was like, we got to do this, and he's like, it runs fine. That car. I think that car with the Vortec, it went 850s with the Vortec, but it had a T-trim on it. But I was like, nah, it's.
And you took the transmission out. You put it up on the sell list also.
Oh, yeah. Everything. Got rid of the AOD. Had an AOD. Had the Lintec AOD in it. We went to Power Glide. It went full crazy. So
that's why I thought. I'm like, he's definitely gonna come out. He's definitely gonna do something here.
Well, I'm not allowed at Little River anymore. My son said until he gets his car done because every time I go, I end up with another race car. So but we went up there and.
Well, let's go. There's a race this weekend, Saturday.
I know. I've already seen. So
And they say it's sunny weather.
So I think Ronnie Odom, which is one of my old college buddies.
Okay, he's been announcing out there.
Yeah, he's gonna be talking.
He has the purple truck he just finished.
Yep.
He's supposed to be. So
okay, wow.
Yeah, it's a small. I mean,
Yeah.
you've been doing this for almost 30 years now. I
Yeah.
think, or so.
Yep. You know pretty much everybody, which is everybody we know. You probably know, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, I know everybody from the street days. What y'all guys did after the street days, y'all definitely accomplished some shit. You know.
Oh, yeah.
But me, I don't know. I decided to build a family early on. And,
Right.
I tried doing that too, but it didn't work out very well. So I went through a divorce. But 2 great kids out of it.
Yeah.
That's all good. But
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I met some lifelong friends racing.
Yeah.
You know, with you guys, and
Yep.
I mean Ryan Martin. I mean, everybody knows Ryan Martin now.
Did you know him too?
That's
He
what
came and stayed at my house.
Oh,
a
goddamn.
couple months ago.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
That's why, like, really.
they have a big race trailer. My buddies are
Yeah.
calling me like, "Hey, what the heck's at your house?" And I'm like, "Well, I'll tell you
He's hanging
afterwards."
out.
You know,
Yeah.
But,
Watch the show. Watch the TV show.
Exactly.
Yeah, his show
I guess
hell.
they were shooting something down in the valley.
In the valley.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
So he stayed at my house, which is halfway.
That's right. That's
So
right.
Yeah.
him and Javi spent the night at the house and everything. But
Sweet.
yeah, but it's crazy.
Yeah,
So
that is a small world. It's a small world, man.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
It's awesome.
I mean, you meet some really, really good people.
Yeah,
So-
this is why I kept telling him. I said, look, you know, a lot of guys, you know, from the river this way. I know a lot of guys from the river that way. I said, if we do a podcast and we just start tagging everybody we know to bring them on, eventually the audience that's going to listen to is going to want to listen to it because either one, they haven't heard these guys
Yeah.
in a while or what they've been up to, or
They never heard of
they
it.
want to know what they're up to now, and maybe they missed. There was a window where they wanted to see something, but they couldn't because either they're raising a family or they're too busy racing themselves. I said, but if we bring them on one episode at a time, it's gonna be a great way to bring Central Texas, you know, together because they call it the ATX 512 ATX Day or something like that, and this is the new street people. But man, how they've modernized it compared to how we did it for free. We raced for free. These guys are running for. I mean, they organized it a lot more than what we ever did, and they're running for. You know, they got a pot to run against.
Don't tell me all this because we'll be building another car.
They have a street class for cars with. I think you mentioned you gotta have your power steering and all that stuff. Then they've got the fast cars, and then they've got the really fast cars, and that's the stuff that you're seeing. You know, running around all over Texas, like Sievert and you know, all these other guys. But they really have it down. It's underground like we had it a long time ago. But they are there, and we're gonna bring Matt back on, and little by little he's gonna bring some of these guys they're winning stuff right now. You know, and they're on the top of the list. And then a lot of people, if you don't know them, you don't know how badass these cars are. These, you know, Tommy's like, you really think 8s are fast? And I'm like, probably not. How fast is really fast? And then he throws out a number. You're like, God damn, you know.
That's the same thing. So
Yeah.
Ryan was at the house and I asked him, I was like, how fast are you guys going on the street? And he's like, you know, he didn't really want to tell me. And I probably shouldn't be talking about this, but
Right.
I can
I've been in
guarantee
the
you it's
forest.
deep in the forest.
Yeah, it's
like
deep
deep
forest.
in the forest on the
Yeah.
street.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know, there's one of them. He goes, I even lifted. I clicked it early, so I'm kind of like, well, how fast do you think it was? And he goes, you know, it might have been a 3, but I mean, that's just crazy to me.
That's
Think
crazy.
about that.
I know. That is crazy.
Well, this one guy, he goes, well, we were racing at this one spot, but we had to leave it to the street cars because the fast guys, that section can't hold us. I'm like,
Well, he did
Damn.
mention that, you know, he said that he was making fun. He goes, yeah, I was in my blue jeans and my shirt. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah, he's still
He
doing-
was an old helmet. He said on the drag, he was like a 540, you know, 8 mile
Yeah, that's
on the street.
That's getting busy.
I mean, you know, so pretty damn.
that's
pretty good
respectable
wicked.
shit for these guys who just, I want to go racing, and then they build a car, and
Well,
man,
the thing
Well, the
about-
horsepower nowadays with these cars is crazy. I
Right.
mean, you can buy a 700 horsepower car. It took us every nickel, dime, penny
Yeah.
we had to get to
Yeah.
500
Right,
back in the day.
right, and
So-
you're right. That, and you know, they've got the power outers. You got
Yeah.
the different fuels now. They got, you know, these guys are running alcohol, or you know,
he was running alcohol. He
you
said he
there's-
switched to alcohol
there's
just
E85
Oh, yeah.
you know,
to get more power.
They can hot lap. You can get power. You know, and you know the other thing too about this underground thing is that, you know, they got security. They got they
dude.
got hired help. They got people doing stuff.
We never had that.
I-
People
We
go to
did
jail all
not.
the time.
We just like go, and we hauled ass, right?
Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
And they got
cops
people-
chasing us. Keep going.
They
Yeah.
got there's a guy that like scouts places. He goes
Yep.
finds places. and like that's where they're gonna meet at. And it's like either virgin or they got some, some on rubber.
I don't think we were ever that sophisticated.
No,
we just figured out like, hey, we go to Callahan's one night, we'll go to 812 one night.
Yeah.
We tried to just mix it up a little bit here and there. If
Hey,
they caught us, they caught us.
Yeah.
Or go South Mopac
Yeah,
or whatever,
or just meet somebody in the middle of the woods and you just hope that they show up before this fucker gonna show up. I mean, we've been here an hour already.
Oh, yeah.
Finally you hear something coming.
Right.
Oh, okay, it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be good.
It was definitely a whole lot of that.
It's different. It's a little bit different game, but I mean, everybody can get in where you fit in. Like I said, you might be like, hey, let's see what we can build a car here now. Let's go play.
Yeah. So what do you have right now? If you wanted to go just play around, what do you have?
So I mean, we have the '88 Coupe we're building, and then I have a '93 Cobra.
That's a really nice one. The teal, is it teal or black?
I sold the teal one. Now I have a black.
Okay.
I've always wanted a black one. So black, and I hate sunroofs. So non-sunroof car.
Yeah.
And then I mean, this is crazy. I kind of got into fishing, man. I sold my '73 Camaro to Billy Stockland, and I bought a boat. So I go down to the coast a lot. And that's how me and Chris Cato became friends. And we fish a whole lot. But then I have a 25 Model T that's fully restored.
I remember that.
My great-grandfather bought that car brand new.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. So what's the story about? Because you're affiliated with some dealerships or a dealership. What's going on?
My great-grandfather owned one of the first Ford dealerships down in like the Smithville, LaGrange area.
Oh, okay.
So he had a gas station that sold Model Ts out of there, and that's how that transpired.
Really?
Our family has a Ford truck. I think it's a 23 Model T truck, and then I have the 25 touring car.
This is in South Texas?
LaGrange?
Yeah, LaGrange. So it's
other side of Bastrop,
yeah,
kind of that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just east of Austin area.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so he was one of the first car dealers.
For Ford, yeah, he sold Fords out of his gas station.
Wow.
Yep.
I have a photo of my great grandfather. My mom was just born, so this had to have been 1927.
Oh wow.
And she's standing there behind a Model T. Now it's full of mud, but I'm like, that car's got to be brand new. So it's like, where the hell would he get a Model T from? I'm assuming he probably may have came from down there. Yeah, that's cool as hell.
But right now I'm just doing that. I'm building some cars for some of my buddies that I grew up racing with.
Yeah. You built a garage at your place, right?
I did. I have a shop, a
Nice
full
one.
shop with a lift and everything. So we just finished a 67 Camaro for Gabe Stan. And then I have a 69 Corvette and a 64 Corvette that I'm completing for another guy.
Nice.
But
these are like resto or have performance.
Yeah,
preference?
little street rod stuff.
Resto
the Camaro makes quite a bit of power. We just
Nice.
converted it to EFI. We did rear disc brakes, rear suspension, front suspension. Just
Everything.
Yeah.
So that car's pretty nasty.
Awesome.
But
Yeah.
I
He
like it.
in case he didn't know, he worked for Holly.
he told me that earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, so let me know if you need anything.
Yeah, so this is so this is the guy. Hey man, it's not available, but what do you have?
Yeah.
What do you have? Can you get something for me, buddy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I
need anything.
when I had Holly on the last car I built, that's how. I mean, ever since it was it was really familiar. It was easy. I mean, I've been doing this when it was DFI, and then we went to Fast System, then you Fast XX5.
None of those were easy to install. Those were just.
Oh yeah, they were pain in the butt.
Like,
Let me see, the Fast System wasn't that bad, but you got the DFI
It's
stuff.
probably like the interface was probably like,
it was horrible.
like the
Everything
interface
was horrible.
yeah.
So
And I would agree. I mean, not because it's Holly, but Holly's got an easy interface. It's easy, simple, configured, boom.
sometimes it's got so much stuff though that you have to know how to navigate through it
Yeah.
to make sure you get right stuff turned and turned off. But I mean, there's benefits to all that.
Yeah, because Holly's got a lot of safety stuff that if you enable one thing, it might do something to something else. But
Oh damn!
Yeah, it was awesome though. I mean, it was
Yeah.
like I said, we made 1100 with a pretty basic car. So
Right.
Man,
Yeah. Today, I think the entry level. I think the entry level for any kind of competition in small tire, I think it's like at least 1,200 horsepower to be in there, to be at the bottom of the list if you know how to drive, because then you won't even be in the list, But 700 or 800 don't even cut it no more. It's like
that doesn't surprise me. I mean, you got to think even back then. I mean, we were making we ran the Temple stuff, the Little Pooch stuff. I would say that we were probably making an easy 12 to 1,300 horsepower with a turbo car though.
Wow.
But the nitrous guys were probably right there in the 1,100 to
bigger motor with a bigger like
the
raised
thing
motor.
back then was big block stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to run the big block
Yeah.
stuff with John and Randy and
Mm-hmm.
Ralph and then Smallwood.
Yeah.
big block Chevy. You know, Kyle Huddle. You know, all the, they were big block nitrous. And yeah, turbos were your 347. Probably, right?
Yeah. When I showed up with a turbo car, everybody thought I was talking about madness. I'll never forget. I hadn't seen him in probably 15 years, and he walks over, and I was like, "Dude, what's up?" And I was like, "I hadn't seen you. What's up, madness?" And he goes, "This is madness." He's pointing at the car, and I was like, "Yeah, it's a little crazy."
That's funny.
Let me ask you this. So, you know, upon the past, you've been sanctioned racing, Fun Forward, all the big events.
What do you call yourself? Street guy or track guy?
Dude, I'd have to say street.
That's documented.
Okay.
So what are you saying?
Okay.
I'd say more street. I love that so much.
Sign right here, please.
Yes, sir.
Where I was going with
Don't tell
that.
the cops.
What do you think of the state of racing it is today as it was compared to back in the let's just say early 2000s, 20 years ago?
How can we bring back?
Oh man.
I mean, where do you think the racing is going? Do you think it's? I mean, it's great. Don't get me wrong. They're going fast, but class racing is, unless you go to a Fun Forward or go to I don't even know Super Chevy does anything anymore.
NHRA straight.
Whatever. But
yeah, but they have. I think
now
they
you
still
got no time and
They
all
still
this
have like
stuff.
I think it's NMCA or
NMCA
NMRA.
still,
or something.
they have the streetcar national stuff
Or something like that. Yeah.
So that's still kind of going on, but
Man, I don't know. I guess the hardest part is with all the tracks closing. I don't understand what's happened to it. I think that you got to understand the 50s and 60s was such a big deal about drag racing and everything, and then I think it's just starting to taper off. I mean, to a certain degree, but it sucks for us old school people that love this.
You made a good point. Tracks are closing. Houston,
What I've seen, just based on what I've interviewed, based on the research, because for a while there, even though I wasn't able to do the drag racing, a lot of the families, man, they they had stories, right? So I was like, do you have photos? And then, one thing led to another, and I ended up having to go back to like 2 generations from what we were doing to see who started the drag racing here in Austin, right? And basically what I got out of it was the reason why drag racing was fun back then was because it was identical to what the street guys are doing right now, and they're eliminating all the red tape. They're going to a street, they're making sure that the security is there, they're making sure that it's organized, and somebody comes away with a trophy and some cash. And it's like one of those rave parties, man. You show up and the next day you're like, what the hell? It was, that's what they're doing. If you have to set it up at a drag strip, there's so much that changes.
Bureaucracy stuff.
Bureaucracy,
insurance.
That now you got advertisement. What does the owner expect? He wants.
I think that's the biggest problem, honestly. I know I hate saying that because I'm not trying to point fingers. But I think the ownership wants so much. Because there is so much insurance, there is so much of this, they have to have such a volume of dollars to make it profitable.
Worthwhile.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they don't want to deal with a lot of that. Because then you have a lot of street guys, and then they're oiling down the track. Now we have to clean the track, and then we have to do this.
That's a good point. It was mentioned about that, there's the ownership plays a little bit role in some of the, not necessarily the demise, but some of the decrease of events that's going on.
Honestly, I don't think it's the cost of the car. I don't think it's the level of the horsepower. Anybody can put a car down the road if you know how to drive. You can take power out, like Tobar said, tune the suspension, stop messing so much with the computer, get under your car, tune some wrenches, get it going straight before you make another adjustment. That makes a lot of sense in what he's saying. But I think what kills it and what makes tracks have to charge more per each spectator, per each guy that just wants to go do test and tune. Well, it's not so much that. The cost of, like you're saying, now everybody wants the track prepped beautiful. Everybody wants this. Everybody requires that because I'm bringing so much to. None of that is considered. Nobody even cares when you go to a street because hey, bring your own.
it is what it is
BYOB, you know. and if you don't, you screw that up, well, then that's on you. You know, you lose because of you, not because of the track. It's because of you. And so they're successful. The track is not. And so when you bring those guys to the track, they're just like, man, it's my first time being here. I'm gonna have a great old time. Here's my money. And then like I don't, you know, if I don't come back again, I don't care. I just came from a street race. I'm about to go to another street race in a couple of days, and they're making money, you know, winning.
Sure.
And I think there needs to be, I don't know, some kind of medium in there, but I don't know exactly. I can only talk about it.
Yeah.
I can only talk about it, but I don't know how to.
You look at XRP though,
Yeah.
being successful, right?
There,
you know,
yeah.
Look at Ennis. Ennis has come all the way back around.
Yeah.
And again, to me, that's because of not just ownership, but the general manager sees that
You got to expand it. You got to
the
expand
street
it.
scene. You have to open up from bracket racing or just pro mods or whatever.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, that's cool, but let's run these 10-5 guys that are running on the street, you know, and I think that's where we have to spark that interest.
I think so, because XRP, you're right. XRP's
Man, everybody's going over there. Everybody's just running over there.
Well, here's the thing. If you look, it's open on Thursday, Test and Tune, and Saturday, Sunday. They're doing every weekend. It's not just once a month. I mean, it's every weekend. So that's
But they put a lot of time and money into that track. They've, you know,
of course.
put a lot of preparation. They see the value of what the street cars are bringing. Those guys bring, you know, that's not just the car. They bring their entourage, you know, kind of like we did back in the day. I mean, remember the old street scene? Remember the, golly, what was it called? The street race that they had at Temple back in the day.
The top 10 list?
No, it was just a street.
It was a
street shootout.
It was street shootout. And they used to have that it was like twice a month.
Twice a month.
Twice a month. And
we used to go up there.
That's where
That's where all of us hung out. I mean, that place was.
And I remember there was nights at midnight, 1 o'clock. There's still 100 cars running. I mean, I remember one time there was like 200 plus cars, like.
Just wanted to come in.
I mean, they're racing.
And it was no internet back then. So.
No. It was all remote. They didn't even really advertise. I mean, remember you and I were talking about the December 6th race that Daisy Dukes put on.
Right.
You know, and I mean that was just chaotic to no end. I mean, I drove the I will note this because I want Greg Wright to hear that. I beat you 2 out of 3 in the yellow car.
In that yellow Camaro, right?
Yeah, the
Firebird.
Yeah.
On record.
On record. He knows it.
So yeah, that's a good point because back then that's just where we did. You know, you had a street legal car. If it was registered, boom, it was Little River.
Right.
I think they just have to cater to that more. Yeah. If they want that, you know, that's the problem.
Man,
and you know, here's something that's Ashton, Greg Wright's son. He did mention that he goes, I don't know why there's not a race every weekend. Like
there should
for
be.
for them to have a place to go and. He's kind of got a point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's right there. I don't know why there's not something to get these guys.
Well, Matt.
Yeah.
One of the he's like, man, I'd like to do this once a month. You know, they want to do that the Burden Fest. He's like, man, I hope it expands so once a month and keep it going and bring everybody through. And so I'm like, man, come on to the podcast. We'll announce what you want to do.
Push it.
Announce what you want to do. Just bring in
just
people.
Sure
people getting on.
Because I don't need to buy another race car.
We'll tag you.
I'm sure.
I got a lighter. It's on.
I'm sure you will. It doesn't take much.
I'll send you some messages. I'll just send you some messages. Hey, look at this.
Yeah, I mean, in like San Antonio Raceway. I mean, it's just. I think there's so much ownership, and then the expanding over there with houses and everything. That just the value of land has gone up so much more.
And I know they were trying to stay afloat with that owner and the people who was managing it, and then they did what they had to do. I know they tried to revive it and try to bring it back. Unfortunately, it didn't catch wind. And it's again, San Antonio was just that track. It was right there.
That was all politics. The reason why it went
it was. That's all it was. But
I mean, who goes around?
It was a great place for me to go test.
Who goes around and steals stuff off of that thing? I mean, that was horrible. Did you see y'all saw it on Facebook? The timers, the tree or something like that was gone. I'm like, God.
I'd love to have the tree, but
I know. Right?
Did you go run Friday nights Little Pooch in San Antonio? San Antonio used to have that Little Pooch too on Friday nights.
So no,
I mean
that was kind of after I sold my. So when I sold my red car, I bought Jason Fields' car out of Atlanta, Georgia, which I don't know if you guys. It was another feature car.
A white one.
White, it had an eyeball and all the graphics and everything.
Yeah,
It was an outlaw car. So we started building that, and then the Sorbies called me, and they were like, "Hey, I heard you bought Jason's car. We wanted that car." So Sorbies are up in New York, and I had just got it back from the chassis shop. So I'm like, "All right, well maybe it's just time for me to take a break for a little bit." So I sold that car.
I got you.
And at that point, that's when Freddie started kicking, I think, some more of the little pooch and stuff on it.
Yeah.
I was building more just muscle cars and was ready to kind of.
I know.
And raise kids.
away,
Again,
yeah.
man, I stepped away to raise 2 kids.
You're raising kids.
Yeah.
Your friend.
Yeah, of course.
My ex-wife raised more because I was racing.
You're racing.
But no, I spent more time with my daughter
Yeah.
and stuff.
Good,
but,
good.
yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with
I
that.
ran into you one time, and I didn't even know it was you, man, because I hadn't seen you in so long. And
I got fat, dude. I can't help it.
dude, man, come on! I don't even want to sit in my car. I tell him, I'm like, man, I'm gonna make the car 2 seconds slower, you know. No, I saw you. You were driving a Cobra, and
yeah.
dude, I had a conversation with you for like 2 minutes, and then I walk off. I'm like,
Where'd my kid at?
that freaking Brad. Damn, I think that was him. And you already drove off. I'm like, man, I just had a conversation with an old buddy of mine, and I don't know if he recognized me.
Dude,
or,
I do that all the time.
Holy
man.
crap!
I walk
It
up
was
and
funny.
I'm like, I know you.
Yeah.
We're getting old, man. It's just part of it.
Damn,
I did.
we
So
need
I
to
had
take our
Cobra for a little
medicine.
while, too.
That was, and the conversation we had was because I had a Lightning truck and a '93 Lightning, and I went to go get my oil change, and I'm waiting. It's early in the morning, and there's this old man sitting in there, and he just and his wife is there. They're like 80 something years old, and he strikes a conversation about my truck, and he knows more than I know about the dang truck, right? And then he talks about, I used to have a Cobra, and I'm like, oh, cool, really? And so I'm like, I'm having a conversation with the car guy, you know? And he's like, yeah, I had the first Cobra that ever was shipped to Texas or something like that. And I said, really? Like the early one with the small, the European one? He goes, yeah, that's what I had. And his wife's just like, she's just laughing, and so I'm like trying to pick his brain some more, like, how do you, who are you? And I said like, oh, so it's like the Carol Shelby, you know. He's like, yeah, I used to work for him. And I'm like, oh man, he's pulling my leg now. And he had this whole conversation about his car, and you know, so I'm like, okay, so you had the Webers, and he's like, yeah, this is what I had, and all this stuff, and so I kind of told you then. I said I met this old guy, and you said, "Oh, that's old man Doc," or some Shelby, some big. Well, because you had the Cobra, you know.
Yeah.
So you knew something, but maybe you were like, Cobra, you know. And but you told me he's like, "Oh, that's Doc. Everybody knows him around here. He's the Shelby Cobra dude." And I was like, wow. Yeah, me too. You know, but this, you know, I don't know. I hope he's alive. You know, that was a long time ago. But anyway, this dude, I got to meet him, and cool as hell, old man. Apparently, everybody who has a Shelby Cobra knows him.
Yeah, that didn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Again, it's just like the Mustang stuff. Everybody.
How long did you hold on to that Cobra?
Not very long. I don't keep cars very long. You should know that. Honestly, the Saleen's the car that I've had. Minus the Model T. The Model T is a family heirloom.
Right.
The Saleen's the car I probably had the longest. I mean, I think I had it for 11 or 12 years, and I don't think I'll ever get back to that again. I mean, I just get bored with them.
Yeah, I mean, my car just sits there. I mean, I put some stuff only because he's pushed me. Dad, when are we going to put the heads? When are we going to put the cam in there? When are we going to do this? And we'll get to it, you know. And then I'll buy something else. And why'd you get rid of that? I just got bored with it. And, you know, but I've managed to give him my stuff so that way I don't, like, get tempted to buy something else.
See, I have all this, so I keep trying to tell my son, Brady, I hope you're listening. I have all this Mustang stuff, and he wants to go to LS. I have Cobra intake, I have long tubes, I have all this stuff.
Everything.
But here we go, we're going to rebuild everything.
No, he took all my stuff. He's like, I'm taking this to my closet. And he put everything in the freaking closet so that way I don't touch it. And he tells me,
out of sight, out of mind.
And he's like, whenever you're ready, I'm ready to go outside and put all this stuff. We'll get to it.
Awesome.
It's cold. Oh, it's too hot right now. You know, I'm like,
same with my son. It's like, hey, you gonna work on this coupe? He's like, yeah, I'll be over there. Yeah, he never shows up. But, you know, so it just sits there right now. So I keep telling him, if for some reason I end up with that car, we might be street racing. So
that's nice.
Throw that out.
There you go.
Probably not.
Well, like I said, ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna. The only thing I'm missing is just my my Ford 9-inch, and I'll take off and go have some fun. That's the only thing. I just don't want to have a 7.5 go kablooey.
Yeah. So we just bought it. We got an 8.8. I mean that's most all the cars I had, minus the Outlaw car had an 8.8. I mean, you can make so much power and still.
Yeah.
They have all the goodies for those nowadays that makes them pretty dang strong.
I stuck an 8.8 on that 65 Falcon. Everybody's like, yeah, put a 9 inches in it. I got that 8.8 right there.
Everybody knows put an 8.8 with Ford ends, Ford
yeah.
ends.
Big Ford ends,
That's all you got to do.
I mean, a spool is not too expensive.
They make them. They make braces for them now that are, unless you brace it yourself, but they got
brace kits and all that stuff. Yeah, the car I just built had all that stuff done. It was pretty crazy. I mean, all the bracing and stuff. I mean, I didn't have that on my car before. I mean, Hubble did all the rear end stuff on the old car, but I mean, we were back then. We made so much power. We were twisting ladder bars. If that tells you. I mean, we were bending. We went through ladder bars.
And a lot of stuff now that you didn't weld the tubes in. The tubes are getting kind of flexed
twisted up.
Yeah, they get twisted
Well,
too,
the new 8.8s compared to an old Fox Body 8.8, man, the 3-inch tube is like a 1/4 inch thick. I mean, it's a heavy freaking. So that's the one I got. I'm like, well, I'm doing this one. For the hell with that one. It's a lot thinner, funky. I mean, everybody prefers an 8.8 out of a Mustang, and they build it all up. It's really a thin tube.
Like the older one?
Yeah.
I can imagine. I mean, you got to understand, we're 200 horsepower back then. And
now
we're talking,
like,
their stock ones are 500 horsepower, so you have to have.
Yeah,
I can definitely see the benefits in some of that for sure.
Definitely. So, your future plans, you may have kind of mentioned it here, but street, you got your resto that you're doing for customers. Again, to kind of go back to where the racing nowadays, what do you pawn on the no time grudge kind of stuff scene that goes on here in Central Texas?
I love that stuff. I mean, that's basically what we
were
back then,
today, right?
Yeah. I mean, we were all no time, no way. I mean, unless you went to the river and stuff. I mean,
they were putting on the
everything on the everything on the. You didn't want them back then.
Our problem was we were too far away from a track, so we had no choice to go to a street. So I can see his mentality of it versus you were closer to the track. I mean, you were like literally.
Yeah, I mean, I was always about at least 30, 45 minutes away from the track.
Yeah.
Or if anything, but I mean, because class racing now, if I say it over and over, but it's kind of it's falling off. Whatever.
I like it. It wasn't close to me.
I do like the no time and the grudge stuff. It makes it open. The only thing that I don't like is now people are getting high horsepower motors.
Yeah.
With the basically
ching chong. Ching chong.
Coke can, right? It's lightweight. They're gutting out the cars, lightweight.
Yeah.
They're putting big power. Whether it be nitrous or whatever it is. It's just and so like if you got a guy who's got the same amount of horsepower, but they put it in a 2,500 pound car compared to your 3,300 or 3,200 pound car, it's like, it is what it is. You just got to figure out how to win because whether you're racing, you tree them or if they break or something, there's always a chance for you to do something.
Yeah.
You can always put on a W, but it's kind of hard to compete.
I think
to me though, that's how the street was though.
Yeah.
You showed up.
There was no class.
There was no classes.
Yeah, there was no racing.
You don't know who had the lightest car. You went out there and you negotiated the tire necessarily.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, we went. Be racing the Rankin Road down there, and guys were, I'm on street tires, and they're wanting me to give them links on their own slicks, but they knew the car, so it was kind of. But anyways, long story short, to me, I think that's that's the nature of grudge racing, you know.
And like what I said, is that it's just a matter of how you put your power down, how you get down the track, because you can overpower, you can there's always that tuning aspect. So and that's where I just said it kind of equals out the field. Because you can play somebody who's got the biggest power. It's just a matter how they put it down. If they put it down good, fantastic. I applaud them, right?
I wish they would do tire. If they just did tire like we did and the little pooch stuff, that's going to limit a lot of stuff. I mean, have a radial class because as you can see, it seems like the radials are a lot faster.
Yeah, faster.
They are.
You get more tire speed.
I bought the first radials at Super Shops back then. Nobody wanted them. Everybody's like, "Oh, that's crap. And they were sitting there. And they're like, well, we don't have any. Like,
were those the bias ply radials?
No, they were true BF
Goodrich.
The ones that
Big Daddy and
I think I'm gonna go get those because I've seen it. So I got some on the street. Those things were doing better than slicks. Slicks were moving sideways.
Oh yeah, they were.
And these things were just clamping and then the car just felt like a skateboard. It's like, wow, this is cool.
The stiff sidewall.
So they do good on the street. I just, on the track, I think they get ate up. They get ate up pretty nasty.
I think, from what I understand nowadays, I mean, I don't, it's been a little bit, but, radial prep's a big difference than slick prep,
It is. It's a world that people may not believe, but it's like a radio. You gotta drag it like every, slick, you can drag it maybe, you can have about 20 cars go down, but on a radio, you gotta kind of drag it, blend it back in, because
it picks up,
Well, the radials, they dead hook, and they're badass. You can run 16, 17 pounds of pressure, and there's no rolling them tires. They just dead hook.
And they've got some badass radios nowadays. Yeah. Better than the next radio.
Technology nowadays is way beyond where we were, 15 years ago.
Right.
I think one of the adjustments from the old class cars to what's going on today is that I think that the guys today, they know that these cars have a lot of power, and they know that at one point they're gonna completely screw their shit up against the wall. They're expecting it. They know it every time they're in there. They know that if they're gonna touch it, or it may be their day. Our cars back then, a little slower. Your car's a lot faster, but I think we kind of like to take care of the car. We kind of like to think that, well, we're gonna take it to a car show one day. We want to, Tobar saying, man, dude, you got to keep your car clean. We were laughing about that.
Yeah. I'm all about that too. But to your point, like I said,
it makes you think, right? It makes you think if you want to go.
Well, that too, in like the no prep stuff, I haven't gone fond to it because you can be the safest driver, and you think your car is bad, but you don't know.
You don't know about
the other guy next to you, so it's like, okay, he might cut you and put you in the wall or something. It's like,
And that's a big thing too. Is it doesn't matter where you're at though. You don't know anywhere.
I mean, that's a risk we take. That's a risk we take, right? So,
what was your thinking when you had your red Mustang? Obviously, that was a really fast car. Obviously, a very nice, clean car. Yeah. That car probably could have won a show. It was such a, spot on.
Red 1-1?
Red 1-1. Red,
damn.
Put me on that spot.
Nicer overall.
Yeah, but then it was all original looking. You had stock seats in there that were just, it was really cool looking, To ruin that and then try and recreate it again, you're probably not going to want to do it. You're just going to go get some race seats.
Well, I like his, that's a risk you kind of, you want to race, it may happen. If it doesn't, thank God it hasn't, right?
Right.
But, it's just eventually, and it may, but,
I think a lot of it comes to driver, though. Honestly.
Right.
I was under the always live to race another day.
Yeah.
So if my car got a little out of shape, then I just chalked it up as a learning experience.
Yeah. Are you a lift guy or a stay in it guy?
No, I'm definitely a lift dude.
Okay.
I'm at 120, 130 miles an hour, a little bit of walk makes it feel like you're completely sideways sometimes. You guys
Yep. No.
But, I was in Houston multiple times, and felt like I was looking at the other guy, which I go back and look at the video, and I'm like, God,
you're sideways, right?
But that's all it takes, though, is a little bit of that. And I think that's a lot of what the guys are missing is you get these guys that have only been racing for, let's say, a year or two. They didn't grow up street racing. They didn't know what it was like on the street,
right?
Spin the tire or what. But I think that's a lot of it too.
And that's a good point because, like, we talked to another racer that we had on show. It's like, are you a lift or a stay in it kind of guy? He's like, well, and there's that point that if you're in the final round and if you're like, you guys are neck and neck, you may want to, but if you're like out of it, we're gonna lift. Or if it's qualifying, or if it's first round, you can lose, or he's got you pegged, lift. We're gonna lift. But there's always that case. Man, you're in the finals. You're in for like $5,000 or something. But
that money will make you change.
Reward is not there for me.
Well, that's a good point.
I was pretty much skin and bones trying to get to every race for the most part back then. So I wasn't going to risk a $40,000 car to win $5,000 or $2,500 at the river. If it got out of shape, you know what?
Right. That's the way you look at it, and that's the way sometimes I see it because when you're driving, it's like, okay, just a little wiggle. But man, if you're out like dead out of the groove, man, you just chalk it. Because you're not going to do nothing. And you see the guys out there in qualifying.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, but they're they're pedaling. You can hear them, see them sideways, and they're hitting like, what are you doing? It's just qualifying.
To me, once you lift, you should be out of it.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there's no real
Right.
reason to
Wasn't
get
there
back
for a long time there? Wasn't there your turbo car era? Once you got out of it, don't get back in it because chances
Kinda
are
hard
you
to
were
spool
gonna
back up.
fly. I mean, the boost is built right, and
yeah.
it's just gonna.
Yeah, so what happens is you lift and you lose the boost, and as soon as you get back in it, it wants to build all that boost again, and the
Right.
car's unloaded.
Yeah.
So then that's where everybody was popping them in
Yeah.
the wall. I mean, they called us, I think back then, they called us a freak show because
Yeah.
somebody was going to wreck.
Somebody
I mean,
didn't
just about
yeah.
every weekend, somebody was
nature.
going to wreck. I mean, which was pretty much what happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
Somebody was, maybe not hard off the wall, but somebody's skimming the wall
Yeah.
or something. But
Today they just pedal it, man. I don't understand how it's the motor's built with turbo for them to continue to do that.
I think he mentioned
it could
earlier
be the
that
gate.
the boost controllers
Yeah.
are a lot more different now.
They
than
push and
were.
close. They push
Yeah.
and close.
Yeah.
So maybe.
It's
and
the,
they're
it's the
able to
equipment now.
They're able to control it. Technology's come along.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's what it comes down to.
But I always remembered, and plus, even when you were on the street, if you started to go sideways, if you oversteered, you pretty much were gonna go, and you always had a
Going the wrong
ditch.
way.
Yeah, so we always knew like, just lift, man, just let it
No,
go.
that-
You're in a little like Callahan, little BS road.
Callahan's
You're
was
about
the
to go in a
best.
ditch. So a lot of people cut their teeth on that little skinny little piece of crap road.
I don't know if you remember, Kobe Briggs had a black LX with a little teal stripe around it. We used to go run around with him too. And oh my gosh, I saw that guy. It was a 5-speed car. That
Yeah.
car was like left, right. But again, I mean, that's how it was.
Somebody even hit a dump truck back there. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
God
It
damn.
caught fire.
It caught fire because of the damn switch in the back, or they didn't know how to find it, or something.
The kill switch.
Yeah, well, there's a fuel
Ran in the
switch on
back of
these,
a
yeah.
yep, dump truck.
Damn.
I've seen a few crazy ones like that.
We were out there on the big end, right? On the street, and these kids, man, they came in through the other side, and they were gonna freaking run against us, and I don't know who had just started to go to make a run, and we're like, man, go run, go tell them dudes to freaking get off the road. The car's about to go there. So we ran that way, and we're doing this crap with the lights, man, and the kid freaking sees us running towards him with the light, and he does this and goes whoop into the ditch, rolled into that field over the fence. 30 miles, 20 miles an hour. And we're like, y'all all right? Yeah, we're out. All right, keep going. Man, the races must go on. And, so he just left his Volkswagen there just overnight and continued watching the race, man, the rest of the night, man. But those ditches, man, I mean, they made you learn how to, when to let off.
Callahan's was not a wise choice back in the day.
And yet we did it every weekend.
You always had the dips or the crowns or
Yeah.
something.
Oh
else.
man, that road was lit narrow, but we did it.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, that's why the only reason why I always never got into it. There was actually one time where I was messing around with somebody. I don't remember who it was. One of the Mustang dudes, and I oversteered too much, and it gripped. But I don't have a sway bar, so the car really just started rolling, and I let off, and boom, the car laid back down, and I was like, ooh, that was a scary one. So can you just imagine at the track doing 130, 140, and like this guy yesterday, or Sunday,
It was Sunday.
he passed through the finish line sideways. I mean, just, did you hit anything? No. I'm like, wow.
There's a couple times I felt like I was sideways, but I wasn't. You go back and look at video. I think one of the Clash races, I was racing a Corvette. I was out on them, and it veered left real hard. And I kid you not, I felt like I was perpendicular to the track. And then I corrected it. It kind of went into his lane a little bit, and I was worried about him rear-ending me, basically. So I kind of got back into it and stayed off to the right. Then he comes flying by, and then I look at the video, and I was like, man, that was kind of like lame. I wasn't really out of it at all. But you don't realize that.
Yeah.
It
Getting close to the 8th mile, and back then, I mean, we were still running quarter mile, so we were 140 miles an hour.
Yeah, you're going a lot quicker.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a little sketchy.
Yeah. It don't take much.
No.
When you're going that fast, that little. That's why
Yeah.
they say
Not today.
don't sit there and jerk the wheel or.
Now today's guys, man, the name of the game is to sell out, man. Just keep sailing until you make it past the next guy. Hopefully, you don't get too much out of your groove. You don't go, as long as you don't touch the line.
What are you talking about on the
No
street?
prep
I see all of
street,
it.
no
Yeah,
prep
I mean,
street.
that's those guys. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
They got way more balls than me or way more money than me. One or the other.
I think
Yeah.
it may be more of one where they got a little bit more money.
I think it's a battle car, man. It's a battle car.
Some
they
of
have
them they
battle
got
cars.
scars. They got battle scars on the car. So I mean, but everyone holds their own.
Yeah.
But the street race. Don't get me wrong. It's a good scene.
Oh, yeah, I
dig
love it.
But I won't be out there. But I'm a track guy, so that's where I'm gonna stay.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong. Like I said, the Street Outlaws, right? The Street Outlaws, right? That has a crowd. I was in it for a while, but I don't really watch it a whole lot no more. Just back then, when it first came on, it was street racing.
Cool.
They were street racing.
Yeah.
They were kind of like where we were at.
Sure.
And then
Yeah. Now it's all. The
now
road-
it's all.
Well, I can't even find the show that's supposed to come out on a Monday. There's so many different. I'm like, which one are they on?
But
I'm
yeah,
like,
so you know Ryan, right?
Yeah.
So
Sure.
they all started out, kind of where we're at, and then it's all about show money. They get sponsorship, which is fantastic, but it's a different crowd because if you go to those races, that crowd of people, they might not necessarily have a car. They just like the show. Now,
I think there's a whole lot of that.
But don't get me wrong. I think it rejuvenated a lot of things, and I think, and against my opinion, but I think they that's what demolished class racing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because don't get me wrong, like I said, no prep, no time. If you go see those pots compared to like a class race pot, you're looking like $2,500 to $15,000.
Yeah.
I understand. It is.
You talking about the class racing being lower?
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see that. I mean, the no prep stuff is.
I mean,
it's crazy.
It's popular, and
I think it is. A lot of it has to do with how the show,
how they spun it,
how they spin it, and then how it trickles down to those who are watching, and then they want to go and do it on the street, or they want to go to the track.
They
Whatever
get the audience.
do.
They get the audience, and the people are like, okay, I dig so and so's character. He's great, but do you have a race car? No. Again, that's my opinion. I don't know, but that's just the way the crowd.
Well, I think the only thing that confuses it on the show is that they went with a really nice car, and then they just kept adding on to where, like, man, you guys are making so much money that you guys can't afford that motor.
Now they got 3 or 4 cars.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They confused so many. They confused the audience that I thought you guys were gonna do the street tire, with the LS motors or back to the roots, and then they bust out, surprise, we built another car for another event, and you're like, damn.
It is.
So what are we gonna watch? What are we gonna like? I can't afford 3 cars.
What's your thoughts on not necessarily on the show, but just like on that type of racing?
Well, I mean, I talked to some friends of mine that do the no prep stuff, and he's like, dude, you could do it all day long because basically that's the track when we used to race.
Yeah.
So he's like, you can grasp it. He goes, you're gonna run into a lot of people that aren't gonna be able to grasp that. So that's when we were building the other car. He's like, you'll be fine, dude. Just go run some no prep stuff and see how it goes from there. Needless to say, I think he wrecked his car, brand new car, not too long ago. But that's just part of it. I mean, you're gonna have to take a little bit. You gotta think about back in the day. I mean, there was a lot of wrecks back then because the track kind of sucked.
Right.
Because the prep was just different. But I don't know. I mean, I think that no prep stuff definitely adds another little bit of intrigue because it requires you to not only tune your car, you got to understand what's going on. Do you want to live to fight another day, or do you want to be picking up parts off the side of the track?
The thing that evolved out of that was that if you look now, on a good tight track, you want your front suspension tight. If you look at no prep guys,
it's opposite.
They got like 13-inch extension struts front now to where they make the front end travel like crazy. So the shocks evolved around that no prep racing.
Yeah, and the shock technology has come a long way.
We interviewed Santa, hoping maybe he could give us some secrets. He didn't. Yeah. He just like, oh well, what they do here is what they, they'll do this and do that. I mean, it's a great shop, like get it from them, Well, go buy some if you want to. Like,
But he sold his company, so he's not really kind of like on the. But yeah, you're right. Shocks
but he runs his shocks. He runs those shocks on his car because you see his little gasser car. I mean, you would assume it's just it's just a Chevy 2 and stuff. Man, it's a square tube chassis car with the lightest of the lightest stuff on it. His shocks are tuned. His springs aren't in his shocks, but they're on the outside because it's the rules. But when that thing launches and it's a 4-speed, same thing as a T5, it's actually a G-force. Is what he has. And so when that car goes, I mean, it doesn't even do that. I mean, it's just boom, and it's a smooth ride all the way. And this is a straight axle car with a 331. That could probably run, I don't know, 9s on the motor.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, but it's the
the technology, and that's the big thing. I mean, with everything, not only with
suspension, everything. Yeah.
Well, I mean, just the shocks, and then now you're able to monitor shocks. So you know what the travel is. They were just starting to get into some of that, and then now you also have able to do, the traction control through your stuff. And back then, traction control was illegal. You couldn't have traction control.
I know, right.
Yeah, but I mean, there's ways to get around that.
And
back in the day,
and a lot of those street outlaw guys, they have that. Anyway, yeah. I'm sure
you worked with a lot of that little stuff. You set up.
Well, that's you can do on a Holly, but there's another little black box. Like I said,
that one you installed. Yeah.
I've done one profiler. Davis traction control.
Sure, that's what we used to run Davis too.
Yeah, so like I said, that you put that $10,000 box on there, it'll go down pretty much almost anything. Now,
not my car, but we used to run a Davis in a class car. So
legal.
Yeah. No, it was not legal. No, it was not legal at all.
Not your car. We'll just write it down for the record. It was not his car.
Okay, yeah. Gotcha.
So,
gotcha.
And that's when we were still trying to learn a lot of that. But yeah, I mean.
So.
But nowadays it's everywhere. I mean, I think you can run that. You can run a lot of that through Holly. You can run a lot of that through the Fuel Tech stuff. All that stuff has the capability to look at wheel speed and make those changes.
In flash, it's got the resolution to where it's dry shaft speed. It's like bam, 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 bam.
And then in street, and if you're a street, it doesn't matter what you bring. You put it on. It's gonna be. It's all gonna be down to the driver. Yeah. Are you a good driver or are you not?
That's a good point. But cool, man. Like I said, to wrap up the show, any other closing thoughts? We talked about, what do you believe about the future of racing, how you feel, but do you see yourself coming out, probably doing something?
When are you coming back? Let's just give us a date.
I'll just throw it out there.
Give us a date.
You never know how it's going to work out.
When are you going to get your Saline and bring it back? You know where it is. I know you know where it is.
Yeah. You think I don't know my Saline?
I know you would.
I know exactly where that car is. I've actually been trying to buy it back, but he still wants more than what I want to spend on it. It's been sitting for a few years. So, it's got a 408 in it with a Glide. But
you can work with that.
Oh yeah, I can.
Definitely,
for sure. Turbo system fits just right in there.
No,
I don't know, man. I want to a lot, but just
Well, I mean,
and we might have a second coming. I guess if I can get my son out there, and he did some junior drag racing.
I think a street's calling you. I think that fits.
I
think that fits your lifestyle, your budget.
Hey, I can negotiate with the best of them. You know that.
I know.
But I talk more crap than anybody.
I like how you put it. It's another generation. Your son, there's another gen that can come up behind and fill the shoes, and just get them out there.
What was y'all's motto? Just do it. Don't be scared.
Let it rip.
Let it rip.
So when are you bringing back some of your old crew, Steeda Boy?
I don't know. We need to get back
Gabe.
in here with that, man. I don't know if we get through a show without them talking so much.
What cars do they have? Well, I know. It was always like that.
Kevin has golly, what's it? The new Mustang, the GT500.
Oh, okay.
And then Big Worm, he's got a GT500.
That's a great street race right there.
Man, yeah, I think he's still doing some street. Kevin is I
he?
think. Yeah,
Damn it.
Steeda still gets into the midst of all that craziness.
What was his buddy Ephraim with the green and the ghost flames?
Oh, you're talking about
what was that dude's name?
Dwayne Crawford boy.
That was another fast
Dwayne,
one.
Yeah, he's still part of it. So we have our own little group.
Yeah.
It's called Old School. And
did they keep any of those cars?
No, nobody has anything. Nope. And I was the dumbest one that stayed for the longest time racing. They all had families and stuff.
Right.
And then, and then finally I realized, family is a little bit more important. So spent some time with that, doing that. But yeah, it's been in my blood since I was born. So it's hard to get away from.
It's hard to get away, man. Like I said, in the way I tell, my wife's understanding. We do our thing. I've raced forever, and I got my son. But I tell her, racing's not going nowhere. it'll be here for a little while. So can afford to be away and spend time with your family, like I said.
Sure.
So it'll be here. And like I said, you just got to get in where you fit in now. Just figure out what's the niche, and we'll go run
let's see if we can bring those guys.
Yeah,
get Buck's number.
Oh,
Let's
Lord,
sit him down right here.
Oh my
I want to
gosh.
hear some noise
We
again.
might have to schedule this way early.
Yeah,
all these
don't-
guys.
don't-
Yeah, but I just want to hear some of that
Hey,
Mustang.
oh,
yeah.
I might even bring. Guess what? I might even bring Corey
Oh, I get
to
this
sit
stuff.
down
Yeah.
and hear some of his stories before you guys come on. And because Corey, I was telling him, say, hey man, you need to come on. He goes, Pablo, man, I don't want to come on. I said, why not? Everybody used to call me Little Pablo back then, so everybody knows me as Paul. I'm Little Pablo back then.
Yeah.
Corey goes, man, all I ever did was talk shit.
Well, that was the thing back then. It was
So
just we.
that's
just sit out
nothing
there
new.
and just go and
Yeah.
go and go.
Yeah.
And then
Like
finally
I said-
we'd go out and race, and then half the time nobody wanted to race. We'd just go out there and
Bullshit.
Yeah.
for the most part.
Like I said, we could probably get all your crew
The,
together.
we're
we could probably do a
the
two-part
Mustang,
show.
the Mustang group. Let's
Oh, yeah.
bring the
They're
Mustang. guys.
I reached out to them. I think they're all a little nervous, and
Yeah.
uh,
Everybody was. I had. Remember Steve? He had the Camaro, that '67 Camaro with center lines.
Mm-hmm.
I got a hold of him. His. I know you're hearing Steve. His mentality is still like the mentality of back then. Hey, we don't want cops to show up. He's like, nah, y'all go do that, and I'll. Little old me, nobody knows about me, and I'm like, oh,
that's how I felt, and I guess you don't realize, how much racing you do until you start talking to you guys like,
Right.
I did this and this, and I'm like,
Right.
oh my gosh,
Yeah.
what's wrong with me? I've never gone to jail, but I was handcuffed a few times. But
Damn.
yeah,
I was pulled out of my car at the NASCAR Downs. I made a pass. I came back around. It was one of those Saturdays. There was some Houston guys that came over. Actually, Grand National old damn thing. Anyway, I came back around, and the cops freaking blocked us off. So the guy goes, he starts pointing at me like, "Come here." So I'm like, "But," and he goes, "Turn it off right there," and I park right there. And he opens my door, and I get out, and I'm standing there, and he starts walking back. And when he did that, one of the deputies goes, "Hey man, just get back in your car and take off." I'm like, "Man, are you sure I'm not gonna get in trouble?" He goes, "Dude, no, he's just an ass. I was about to let y'all you go until he showed up." I'm like, "Really?" So I get back in my car and we drove out. But that was about as close as I ever got with something crazy like that.
the worst was, I don't know if you guys remember, we used to go to Whataburger first before we went to Super Shops.
Yeah, Round Rock.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I had just got off knee surgery, and I was at 1325 where the light was,
Yeah.
where then it turned into Mopac.
Mopac, yeah.
Yeah, so then I'm standing there, or sitting there or whatever, and there's another white Mustang next to me, and I was kind of like, hey, we'll just kind of rip it a little bit. So I just went through first, second, third. The other guy didn't, he's like, I'm not racing you. I didn't know that. So needless to say,
Yeah.
I'm maybe going 40, and I think this limit's like 55 or something like that.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, this Travis County Sheriff's about to rear end me. He pulls me over, handcuffs me, and
Oh,
he's
shit.
like, hey, you're going to jail. 45 minutes of him just totally going off
Ripping
on me.
you around.
Yeah.
And he's like, you need to go straight home and all this other stuff. And I was like, whatever, I'm going to Super Shops.
You're right. Right.
So I'll go to Super Shops and everything. And
Yeah.
I'll never forget this. SW walks up to me and goes, dude, I drove by. I thought you were going to jail. I was like, dude, I thought I was going to jail. I was handcuffed. man." But, yeah,
Seriante.
oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So still friends with him.
Is
man.
that where you had the Porsche with the aluminum
He did
small
have a
block in the
Porsche
back?
then. So me and SW used to go back and forth. He would
Yeah.
show up with a new car. We'd go race
Yeah.
4 or 5 times, either Southwest Parkway
Yeah.
or wherever it was. And it was like whoever got the jump would usually get out front. So,
Right.
But man, it was so much fun. And SW interviewed me. He introduced me to John Hennessy. So that's
Oh,
how I met
wow.
Oh,
John.
Henry, oh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we were down south
Is that
racing.
right?
Yeah, so we were down south racing and got to meet John through him. And he's like, hey, I'm going to go race.
What do
hang
you
out
have
with
back then? What did John have back then?
Viper. He had
A Viper.
Vipers and stuff.
Oh,
He was
that
big in
one. I
the
remember
build
that.
stuff back then.
Yeah.
But I think
The blue. He had a blue one, right?
But John was with SW, so
Yeah.
SW was. I think he had like the Road and Track Corvette or something down
He
there
did.
at the time.
I remember.
And we went
Hennessy
out
thing,
racing
yeah.
something, and he's like, "Hey, hang out with my friend John." Well, I didn't know who John was. And next thing you know, they're like, my buddy's like, hey, "Dude, that's John Hennessy." I was like,
Hennessy,
"What?"
man.
That's pretty
That's
cool.
to do
you
with
know,
the
so-
cars. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah, he.
I mean, again, you get to meet so many people.
SW's always had some real nice cars,
Yeah.
man. I mean, I saw him only race one time, and that was that Pro Street Camaro he had, and he raced tow bar, and I was fortunate enough to. It was Maynard Downs, the freaking Maynard drag strip we had back there. That was in a ranch. So I don't know, it's crazy. That's the only time I got to see him, and Tobar, he got him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but still, I mean, his cars were. I mean,
yes, also this stuff is just top notch.
Yeah, and I hung out with Eric too. I mean,
Yeah.
back in the day, all those guys. Yes, even the Chevy guy.
You need to hear. Yeah, Eric's podcast was funny. He had his nitrous hooked up on the freaking light switch. His
High beam.
High beam. That's where he had his. I did not know there for the longest time, man, that he was taking off every time they would shine the light on him. That's how he would pedal his car.
That was his traction
It
control.
was cool as hell. Yeah.
That was
But
his traction
yeah, you learn something new every time we bring somebody.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
So
yeah.
we'll see you at a street race soon.
Yeah.
I'm sure you probably will. You know how that rolls. I can't stay away too long.
Yeah.
So.
Get these Ford guys to come out here, man.
And
Let's
like I said,
shoot it.
if you get some, get some line up with your friends, give us a call, shout out, or just come out. We'll do another one because we could probably talk forever.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so we could probably go on, but like I said, we could probably do a part 2.
Yeah.
Soon, but yeah, I mean, I appreciate you guys coming out, and Paul and myself. We're gonna keep the show going. We're gonna get some good street races.
Send us some photos so we can post them up.
Send us some photos, yeah, when we get the interview up, and then.
Anybody you want to plug in
Yeah.
that you want to give credit to, or sponsors, people you have at your shop, cars, what do you want to say?
Anything you want to just mention?
I mean, I'm solo, so it's
Yeah.
usually just me and my dogs out in the shop. And
Yes.
What's your
occasionally
dog's
my
name
son.
then? He's nice to you.
Yeah, they're good, but no, I mean, I wouldn't be here probably without my uncle.
Yeah.
His name's Mike Lind, and then just the help from Chip and Murillo and Matt Jones and even Brad Newcomb. Those guys the friendships again, man. That's back to that. It's just all those friends that we've created over the years. So
Family.
sponsorship wise, I'm not sponsored by nobody, so I don't have to answer anything
Brad and
anymore.
me.
Yeah, just me. It's just me now, so it's all good. But yeah.
Well, appreciate it again. Like I said, I dig the show, and I think everybody will too. And like I said, anything you can think of, any of your friends that you might think might want to come on, that's not afraid, come out and just.
Tell them it's not that
friends.
bad. Tell
It's
them
not that bad.
It's not that bad.
Yeah,
This
I
used
keep
to-
trying to tell my new girlfriend that it's not that bad on the racing,
Yeah.
and then she keeps looking at all these wrecks, and I'm like, hey, and she's like, you're not racing, and I was like, I don't know.
At first I felt weird just because I was talking to the microphone, and then I felt even weirder when he turned on the camera on. Then I just said, you know what? I just don't care. I'm gonna.
It's all just, we're just having a good time. We all have one thing in common. It's cars and going fast, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
That's what it's about. And like I said, it's just about bringing the Central Texas group from the past into the present, right?
Sure.
We want to keep, and we want to keep the track alive, right? We want to keep the racing going.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
that's what it's about.
And
So
hopefully we keep Little River till the day I die.
that's
because
it. That's
an amazing place. Got a lot of history
a
there.
lot of history there. Everybody does. Everybody, it's been there. It's an old track.
Yeah.
So anyway, guys, well, I appreciate it. We're gonna go and wrap it up. And until next time, you guys, be safe and appreciate it.
Brad, thanks for coming
Hey,
by,
man.
man.
Hey,
Appreciate it, man. A lot to me, man.
Yeah, man.
Have a good day, guys.
Thank
See
y'all
you next
very
time.
much.
Bye.
Peace.